I call the honourable member for Forrest.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My question is to the Minister for Communications. Will the minister update the House on the financial performance of Australia Post? What is the government doing in cooperation with the company to ensure that the post services and post offices around the country are viable for future generations?
Good question. I call the honourable
Communications.
the Minister for Communications.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I thank the honourable member for her question. Madam Speaker, Australia Post faces a real existential threat. Its letters business is declining year after year, and we are now at the point where the losses in the letters business, which have totalled since 2008 over $1.5 billion, will shortly overwhelm the profits in the rest of the business. If nothing is done to reform Australia Post, the government would, over the next decade, have to tip in nearly $7 billion of subsidies. So plainly there has to be change, and that is why we've announced today, or the company has announced today, two big reforms. The first is that the service obligations will be changed so as to allow a two-speed letter service. So there'll be a regular service, which will be the regulated service, which will arrive generally 2 days later than it currently does. This will result in a very significant reduction in costs over time. There'll be a priority service which will be delivered under the current timetable, obviously at a higher rate. This two-speed service is comparable to what is already being used by 70% of business customers. The second part of the reform is to increase the price of stamps, and the company is seeking to increase the stamp price from 70 cents to $1, and over the next 3 or 4 years or thereabouts, the letters business should be able to get back into the black, which is exactly where it should be. Now, this is absolutely critical, and I want to acknowledge the way in which the company has consulted widely on this. Now, let me make 2 points about the stakeholders. Firstly, the employees of Australia Post. There are 32,500 employees of Australia Post. Obviously, there are implications for jobs in these changes. However, I note that the company has a Post People First program, and over the last few years, as jobs have gone from the letters business, 61% of those people have been successfully redeployed elsewhere in the company. The company has a 3 Rs policy: retrain, redeploy, and then redundancy as a last resort. It's working very, very closely with the union, with whom I met only yesterday, with the Shadow Minister, and the company is very focused on looking after its employees. Finally, the licensed post offices, small businesses, there are 2,900 of them. They have been doing it tough during this period. Let me say the company and the government are absolutely committed to the LPOs. These changes will put, the company assures me, about $75 million of extra revenue into the LPOs, about $20,000 each per annum, a significant change.
Time has expired.